And this just all brings us to understanding who Alex Pereira is. I've been watching this sport. The first time I ever saw MMA, and again, it wasn't even MMA back then. The first time I ever saw it was the summer of 1994 in this fucking city when I was visiting my dad. My parents were divorced. I would come up here and I watched it. I've been watching this sport a long time. I just don't know if there's someone I've ever seen quite like this. He's not the best middleweight in terms of who's got the best resume. He's not the best light heavyweight in terms of who's got the best light heavyweight resume. That's not who he is. But the ability to just continuously raise his game, even at a late stage, matriculating from another sport, and then to go big game hunting in the way that he does, either against a name and a challenge, whether it's short notice, a name and a challenge on a big card, and go on down the list. This guy might be the best big game hunter I've ever seen in UFC history. We have to think about that. This is the immediate reaction that we're giving you. This is not something that I can declare super strongly, but I think a lot of you probably feel something similar. For a guy to come in and be like, okay, here's a big opportunity, kill it. Here's another big opportunity, kill it. And of course, Izzy got his revenge, which is part of the story too. But then since then, and just continue to escalate and continue to get better. And I want to point out one more time, he had a better game plan than Yuri relative to the first one, and he had an improved skill set relative to the first one. What is he, 36 or 37 years old? How old is this guy? How old is Alex Pereira? He is 36. He'll be 37 in July 7th. So basically 37 years old, and he continues to get better. He leaves you speechless. He leaves you fucking speechless. This guy made his UFC debut in what? He made his UFC debut in 2021, right? The Andres Miguelides fight. He wins that one in November of 2021. And then in basically 2.5 years has captured the middleweight title, the UFC light heavyweight title. He's defended that UFC light heavyweight title 2 times now. And now there's calls for him to potentially go up to heavyweight and go big game hunting up there as well. There's just no other guy you can point to that's quite like that. Again, the Couture reference is kind of similar, but he had to do that over a much longer period of time where he had to go to the UFC, win the title, leave, come back, goes to light heavyweight, gets fucking retired, leaves, comes back and beats Sylvia. And then, which is, obviously very, very impressive. But it's a much longer expanse of time where much more happens in between. There's no fat on this fucking guy's career. There's no fat. Well, at least the UFC run. And even the Izzy lost isn't fat because, like, look at who he was fighting. Look at the stakes. Look at the size. Look at the main event place. He had a couple of basically tune-up fights against Miguelides and Bruno Silva. And then after that, it's Sean Strickland, former champion. Izzy, former champion. Jan Blachowicz, former champion. Yuri Prochazka, former champion. Jamal Hill, former champion. Dude, this guy is just mowing. This guy is the fucking Punisher. Just going through and just bucking them down one by one like this. The one thing that Izzy was able to get over him, again, which is one of the greatest KOs I've ever seen. But nevertheless, this guy's ability to do something that is so fucking rare. I mean, I said this on MK. He's like Donald Cerrone if Donald Cerrone won all the big fights that they put him in last minute. Fighting injured, changing time zones vast time zones through your travel as you're overseas, taking it on short notice. Your toes are fucked up. You had to pop them back into position. I popped one of my toes out one time grappling, and I had to put that motherfucker back into position. Dude, it hurts like shit. Obviously, he's, hopped up on adrenaline, but anything that would have tripped up any lesser fighter. And by the way, when I say lesser fighters, I mean world-class fighters. Any one of those things would have tripped him up, but not him. Not him, not today. He looked like a man in full, completely in command of this fight from the word go to the last one. Shouldn't even gone to the second round pretty clearly. And I'm just blown away. And also, like, one thing we really don't talk about enough is, like, Izzy obviously was one of the first guys from high level kickboxing to come over and really show you, a high level kickboxer guy can come over and develop an MMA skill set that allows them to win titles at the highest level in MMA. So it's not like, Pereira's the first one, and nor is Izzy in that sense either. Obviously, guys came before him and whatnot. But one of Mark Coleman's famous losses was to a kickboxer who was able to overcome. But the point I'm trying to make here is, in the vast history of MMA, it's been predominantly the grapplers who've learned striking, who've been able to make the most successful transition to elite MMA status, coming from another composite sport. And now you're seeing it, not just through Pereira, but like, look at what he's doing. Again, he should be outside of his athletic prime at this point. 36 going 37. I know it's light heavyweight, so you're going to grade on a scale, but he's not slowing down at all. You keep waiting. Me, all of us. When I say you, I mean proverbial you. We keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. We keep waiting for the bottom to fall out, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. And not only does he tiptoe, and not the floor is lava, and he never seems to touch it. More than that, he's getting better. Holy shit, he's getting better. This should not be possible. This doesn't happen. This is the rarest of the rare. For sure going to go into the UFC Hall of Fame. For sure. He's been here 2.5 years. A little more than that, closer to 3, but okay. Yeah, 2.5 years basically. It'll be 3 in what, November? Yeah, it'll be 3 in November. This guy's been here basically, over 2.5 years. And he's already going to go, almost certainly he's going to go into the UFC Hall of Fame. And he does the company a solid over and over and over again. And he's doing all of this with fucked up feet. Understand what I said to you just a minute ago. His balance didn't look compromised at all. His movement did not look compromised at all. His ability to deliver force, transfer force, and land with authority didn't look compromised at all. His mindset didn't look compromised at all. His physical, the shape he was in, didn't look, nothing looked compromised. That should not be possible. And that's true because look at the rest of the card. Dude, listen, Diego Lopez and Dan Ige are fucking animals, and they've still got big wins ahead of themselves, and we'll see where Lopez can go. We'll talk about him in a minute. Hey, he's got a really bright future. But like, look at how much he suffered in that third round, right? He took it on short notice, and I know he had to cut a bunch of weight, and it was terrible. But like, Poatan was like 230 after the weigh-ins, the ceremonial weigh-ins last night. You can see that even very good world-class fighters would get tripped up by 1 or 2 of these things. He's got all of these different variables that he's balancing, and he is still coming out looking better than ever. It should not be possible. It should not be possible. And yet he makes it look fucking effortless. This guy is doing so many things for himself and his career and what it means to transfer over from another sport. And to, listen, the UFC obviously views him quite favorably, and he's earned it. But on top of that, dude, is it my imagination, or is he can't carry light heavyweight by himself? But I'm a lot more interested in light heavyweight title fights than I have been in a long ass time. I can say that with very clear purpose and confidence. He is making anything he does, the halo that he puts on it just lifts everything. This guy is the MVP of this organization. This guy is, as I mentioned before, Donald Cerrone, if he won all the big ones. This guy's success should be impossible. If you had told somebody 10 years ago, hey, there's going to be a Brazilian dude who comes from kickboxing and we go through it, in 2.5 years is going to do all of this, speed run the whole thing, that would have seemed impossible. Welcome to impossible. Alex Pereira, the impossible story. It's really what it comes down to. Dude, I put up this picture earlier today. I'm going to show this to you guys because I was digging around. I wanted to see if I could find it, and I did. I took this picture of Alex Poatan. I used to be a ring for very briefly. I was terrible at the job. I very briefly was a ringside reporter for Glory when they were trying to do their big push on Spike TV. Let me show you this. So I took this picture of him when we were backstage. This is Alex Poatan in February of 2014. This is him, and you can see he's got the Brazilian flag kind of cut into his hair there. Right? You see that? I remember when he was there, I wasn't even sure who he was. He was not heralded by anybody. He was not like the guy to watch. He was not even a dark horse. He was just a guy that they had there because they had to fill out the roster, essentially. I mean, obviously there was some promise about him, but like, trust me when I tell you, Last Man Standing was about Joe Schilling. Last Man Standing was about Simon Marcus. Last Man Standing was about Artem Levin. Artem Levin beat Alex Pereira in the first round of the tournament. Beat him in the first round. And a decade later, he is on top of the combat sports world doing things that are fucking impossible. It takes your breath away. It takes your breath away to watch somebody like this. Man, how many times you guys I get on here and I say it's an honor to watch Max Holloway's career and cover the whole expanse of it. And that's been a much longer one. And then you got to watch a guy's maturation, and it means more to really see him from a very green place to this developed state that he's become. This is different than that. But is it not fucking awesome to be around for the Alex Pereira experience? Can you imagine there are people who don't watch MMA right now who are going to pick it up in 3 years and they're going to have missed all of this? They're going to have not seen anything about this. A moment in time where a guy took the game by the scruff of the fucking neck and bent it to his will. Not without setback, but bent it to his will just the same. What a remarkable man. What a remarkable fighter he is. How lucky we are to be around and watch somebody do some shit like this. I hope you feel as blessed as I do. The card itself, pretty ass, if I can be honest with you. And I'm sure you guys mostly agree too. Again, there's some good stuff down in the early prelims and whatnot, but in general, not that great. The crowd was pretty silent for long stretches of it. And then this dude comes out. All respect to Lopez and Ige. Especially Ige, but Lopez too. All respect to them. I'm not hating on them at all. But they were, they were tasked with a tough assignment. Well, so was he. And yet he just continuously finds a way to make things that are absolutely beyond difficult look like a matter of routine. How many guys do you know can do that? I've been watching this game a long time. I don't know what to say. And you might be like, oh, well, look, didn't you just say that Yuri has bad defense? Yeah, he does have bad defense. But Pereira got better, and he took it on short notice, and he was over fucking seas, and his feet are all jacked up. And every other number of things you could bring up. And it's just the buzzing of flies to this guy. And I know the whole reason he's on this card is because of Conor McGregor. And if you certainly watch this channel, you know the video I put up. Yes, well, today is Sunday, but the video I put up Friday where I clearly argued I don't really have any issue with Conor withdrawing due to his broken toe. Everyone kind of like, oh, it's pinky toe. It's not that big a deal. Dude, it can fuck your balance up. And the guy competed with a jacked up knee against Chad Mendes and a jacked up foot against Khabib. And, maybe he would have beat Khabib. Maybe he wouldn't have. I still think Khabib would have won. But the point I'm trying to make is, the guy has certainly gone out there and had these issues. And I understand why he didn't want to compete with the injury. I totally get it. But then there are just other people who are like, even relative to Conor, even relative to other great fighters you can mention, look at what this guy is able to do. You can handicap him with time. You can handicap him with opponents getting a second crack at him. You can handicap him with short notice. You can handicap him in any number of ways. And he just bulldozes right past it. I don't think he's unbeatable. I would still pick Tom Aspinall to beat him if there was a heavyweight fight. Dude, he has fucking earned something big in that division. And there's that title queue needs to be addressed, but he has earned something absolutely spectacular. This card was not going to be great. This card was headed to a pretty bad place. And then Alex Pereira comes in and just paves over it. You can watch this sport for 20 years and you may never see another guy like this. Because I've been watching just about 20 years and I've never seen a guy quite like this.